Hey class, Jesse Roberge back again. Today I'm going to be doing my speech about buying and selling baseball cards and how to protect them so that they're worth just as much as they are today and 10 years, 100 years from now. Real quick, how many of you know that a baseball card looking something very much like this one, very small, very thin little piece of cardboard with a silly looking picture of some guy, recently sold at auction for $2.8 million. Yes, I know, that's absolutely ridiculous. But for me, it makes sense because cards like this represent the history of our country. They represent the history of a sport, America's pastime, baseball. Cards like this actually started out as prints on the side of cigarette packs back in the late 19th century. Cards would look just like this one. There was all different makes and models back then, but Piedmont and these T206 cards, as we call them, were the main staple for collecting baseball cards. And that card that I speak of was of a gentleman by the name of Honus Wagner. The reason why his cards sold so high was he was actually the guy who got us to stop printing baseball cards on the side of tobacco packs and actually got them to print them with baseball gum or bubble gum instead, to influence kids not to smoke and chew bubblegum instead, which I think is brilliant. So, baseball cards, real easy. They sell them everywhere. You can find them at Target, Walmart. Some places sell different product. But the main place that you want to go if you're serious about this are your local card shops or your hobby shops. They're going to sell a lot higher dollar product, and it's going to cost you more, but you're going to get better hits, or mojo, as we like to call it. So, you're at the card shop. You paid $100 for a box of 10 cards, yeah, I know, and you pull an autographed card. Yay, you're all excited. Look what I got. There's his autograph right on the card. How cool is that? But I want to protect it, because a card that's damaged in any way loses value instantaneously, just like a car, just like any other thing you're going to buy. But with baseball cards, it's everything. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to identify the type of card. This card is very thin, so I know it's got almost every other means possible for protecting it. It's not quite so limited, but you want to keep from touching the surface of the card and from damaging the corner. So the first thing you want to do is take what we call a penny sleeve. Penny a piece, just a real flimsy piece of plastic. It's got an opening on one end, closed on the other three sides, and the main purpose of this is to protect your card from fingerprints. So you're going to take your card, like so, open up your penny sleeve, insert one corner, and the second, and slide it right in there. Don't use too much force, you don't want to damage the edge. So now he's protected from basically fingerprints, very small amount of moisture on your hands or something like that. If it fell on the floor, it would be okay, but I want to take it up another notch. This is a really nice card, so I want to make sure it's fully protected. So I'll take what's called a top loader. It's rigid in construction, it's clear plastic, I believe it has an ultraviolet rating as well, and it's going to protect our card a little bit more than just a flimsy piece of plastic that costs a penny. So we're going to take our card very carefully, place one corner, another corner, slide it in as far as we can get it, but we got some space on the bottom there, so we're just going to tap that down until it's nice and square. Now it's fully protected. I can't damage it with my fingerprints. I can drop the card. I know it's going to be alright, but I can still look at it, I can still enjoy the card, and I can still share it with my buddies in the card shop right then. Real simple, real easy way to protect your cards. Now, some cards, like this John Elway, are very thick. You can see how thick that is. It's probably about 10 times the thickness of that first card I showed you. But this one's a very nice card as well. This one's got actual pieces of his jersey in there. So they had to make the card thick to accommodate those pieces of material. So they actually sell top loaders that are thick enough to accommodate this card, and penny sleeves, and it's the same general concept. But if I don't think that's good enough, I'm going to take it up another notch. This is actually a hard case. You can find these at your local hobby shop. This one also has pieces of his uniform sewn in. It's got cutouts on all four corners on the inside to allow the plastic just to contact the edges of the card, but not the actual corners, to protect it. There's a real heavy-duty screw on one side, and that card isn't going anywhere, nor is it going to get damaged. Even more durability are what we call a four-sided screw. This actually is a hard plastic as well, ultraviolet resistant. There's moisture resistant when it seals in place. You place the card in the cutout indentation in there. You screw down the four corners nice and tight, and that card's not going anywhere. Very durable. However, the only fallback to these is that these are kind of expensive, so unless the card is actually worth 200% of what the case costs, it's not really worth it. Another way of protecting your card is actually using what we call a magnetic case. Again, the concept of four cutouts on the corners to protect the card, and it's got a magnet at the top so that you can open up this case very easily to take a better look at your card. So you might not be able to read something, you can actually open that up and it closes and stays in place with a magnet. Now that you've got your cards protected, you're going to want to store them properly. Now the best way to do this is to actually use what we call double layer boxes. It's just basic cardboard, but what it allows you to do is to store your cards in a safe manner. You can actually segregate them like I have. I got it broken down by player and by team, and by sport in here. So I can go quickly and I know exactly where my Nolan Ryans are going to be, where my Ricky Hendersons and all that stuff. Very safe, very cheap way of protecting your cards for the long term. But again, every card in here is going to be in either a top loader or a screw down case. It's not just resting in here on its own. Another way is by use of a binder, and they sell clear plastic pages that have cutouts for the cards to actually rest in here. This is the best way when you break it down by team and by player, front and back. You can see clearly. A lot of guys like to use this method when they're going to trade shows or hobby shows, which run all year round, and it's really safe and really easy. The only problem with these is that the laminate on the plastic can actually adhere to the front of the card, and it'll actually pull the front of the card off when you try to take it out. So once it's in here, it's stuck. Now, you've got your card collection, your cards are all protected. You're going to want to sell your card. Maybe you've got some duplicates. Maybe you don't care to have 10 of the same card. You can sell those cards. There's many different ways of finding out the values. The most effective way, I think, is by use of what we call a Beckett price guide. Every card in the market is going to be in here. The crazy thing about these is these are actually worth money too, some of the older ones. You can go on eBay and actually price some of your cards out to see how much they're worth. I've actually been collecting for 5 years now, and I actually consider it a second job because I actually grade a lot of my cards. I place them on eBay and they sell like crazy. The key thing though is to keep them in good shape because nobody wants to buy a card that's got damage. And with that, I'd like to close and state simply that with the right amount of ambition, with the right amount of knowledge, you too can collect baseball cards, football cards, whatever sport you like, and make a lot of money doing it. Thank you, and I'll talk to you guys later.